it's kind of a micro learning and Army discipline.
Yeah.
Army says, here's what you're gonna learn. And I'm teaching you, and this is what you just learned is
Yep.
shorter bites. And I, and I,
Yes.
and I agree with it. And actually, that's why I wanted to start with this, is because this is where things are going to change so much out of all your books. And you have to know this to take care advantage of the other content, I think.
Yeah.
So let's go to leading growth, the proven formula for consistently increasing revenue. So I see companies, because of the first book that you wrote, challenged because if they're not embracing AI or they're not understanding the optimal use of it, they're falling backwards, not forwards, in their optimism and their abundance. It's beautiful. This was the first one you wrote on sales?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So tell
I
me.
had that structure for a long time.
Yeah.
Like I had it written down, and I had an editor that was working with me, and this is a really good story because I said, "What do you think?" And he said, "Why on earth would you ever put self-discipline in a book? People hate self-discipline."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "You've never been in sales, have you?" He goes, "Nope." And then he said, "Why on earth would you put caring in a book like this book?"
Says, what's a skill set that you could work on and really see a difference in how you connect and close?
In a close?
Yeah, more in the close.
Yeah, so let me go to this book. I'm going to just pull out the Lost Art of Closing, which I imagine.
Is the next
Um,
one? Yes.
if you do not have these conversations, I think that you can get in trouble. You have to ask for what I call trading value, which means I'm going to give you something at the first meeting. I'm not asking you questions. I'm not doing discovery. I'm going to trade value and explain to you something important. And then if you don't do the commitment for time, you won't get it. People don't know how to do this.
Welcome to the Dr. Smiley Show. Very excited to have Anthony Iannarino here. We have met probably about 10 years ago at Fred Diamond's event, and it was the Institute for Effective Professional Selling, if I recall what that acronym stood for. And you are one of 5 or 6 wonderful speakers there that are experts in creating the sale, closing the sale, converting a conversation into a sale. So really wonderful to have you here, Anthony.
Thanks for having me.
I wanted to have the AI work for us where you would have those books in your desk and then you just hand them over to me through the phone and I'd set them down and I'd have my set over here. But thank you for going beyond the measure of making sure I'm educated and ready for an amazing conversation with you.
Let's do our best.
Yes. So the first part of the show is really about you. What's inside Anthony, what created Anthony, and how does Anthony tick with regard to your passion, your purpose. So, if you'd be so kind as to share where you were born and what your childhood was like.
Ooh, okay. You want to start there?
It's the
Um,
beginning.
so yes, this is the very beginning. Um, I was 6 years old when my dad left my mom with uh, 4 kids and his former life. He had another two other people, and they lived with us until their mom came back and picked them up. And then we went to D Fort for a little while, and they came and and that's the last time I saw them until we came back. Well, they came back. So my dad left. I was with a single mom. She's got 4 kids, taking care of 2 kids that aren't her kids, and she still helps my brother, who's 6 months older than I am.
Mm.
So yeah, so my dad was my dad. He's been divorced uh, 4 times. He used to tell me when I got married, you know, not to do what he did, and I'm like, four. I just have one, and one, and that's it. And I'm not out drinking and doing all the stuff that he did. And my mom had no job. She had no driver's license, and she found a way to become a recruiter. And that's what she started to do for Snelling and Snelling. And we got a little apartment, five of us. So my mom and the four kids in this tiny little place. And it was kind of a rough place too. I mean, I got in a lot of this a lot and that kind of thing. And eventually, uh, her and her partner they got successful at what they were doing. They were very successful. And then we got this little tiny house that probably not bigger than what I'm in right now, but we had at least a house with a basement. And I would say I was a difficult kid.
Hmm.
So if you don't have a dad and you don't have somebody that can be there because they're working to make sure that you can eat and have a place to live, and that's what she was focused on. And I'm a street kid, so I'm anything that you would say if I had a child, I would never want them to do that. I did all of that, every single thing. And I was a street kid. So I was out all the time. I started working when I was 13 years old. By 15, I was doing cold calling for MDA. I was the only person that got two bike-a-thons. Actually, I was the only one that got any bike-a-thons.
What's
We did
MDA?
like muscular dystrophy. Yeah, so is that? Yep. That's what we were doing.
Mhm.
And then I got a job at a skating rink. And what they want me to do was lip sync. And I was 15. I love rock and roll. So when AC/DC came out with Black and Black, I was just like, that was the best thing that ever happened until the next album that they did. And so I decided
And
I'm
that
going to
was
play
that
rock
was
and
for
roll.
those about to rock.
That's right. Yeah, second one. I like that one actually better, by the way.
Yeah, I went and saw them in concert for that particular album.
I
And
wish I would have seen that one.
they had the cannons on the stage and
Super cool. Yeah.
yes.
So I went and a guy said, do you want to come over and watch my band practice? And I said, yeah, I'd like to see you guys practice. Guy's name was Jason. Great voice, like just a great voice. And so we were starting, they did their set and they were practicing. And the person that asked me to go, Jason, he said, do you want to sing something? And I said, yeah, I'll do that. And they said, well, what do you know? And I said, anything from AC/DC, anything. I can do all of it. I know all of them by heart. I can sing them. And then after I did that, they were like, you should be doing this. And that gave me like, okay. So this kid named Jason was going, and he was getting lessons from a very old lady, Michelle. Then when I found out he went, I went there, and then another guy went there. And when I showed up there, I did not, I had no training at all. And one day I said, I just want to be as good as Tommy. Now, Tommy was not a good singer, a great front man, though, like a David Lee Roth guy. Like he was just everywhere. And I said, I just want to be as good as Tommy. And she said, you've been better than Tommy from the first day you got here. You have a three vocal. I mean, you can go all the way up to a high G, which is what Axl Rose can get to. I
Right.
had the ability to do that. She said, you're way better than him. And I thought, wow, I had no idea. That's the first time anybody told me that I should go do that. And we made we had a conversation about what I was going to do. And I got a group together, and it's not always great. There's a lot of people who are drinking, and I'm not drinking, and I don't do any drugs and anything, and it's difficult. But we did really well, and we were able to put 1,000 people in the Alros Sevilla, which is where everybody played, and we did really
City
well.
is that? What city and state is that?
Columbus,
Columbus, Ohio.
yeah.
Ohio.
Alrosa's gone now though,
Yeah.
but it was a good place. And then I just kept doing that for enough time that I decided I was going to get in a car, my car, and I'm going to drive to Los Angeles and I'm going to go play on the strip. That's what I wanted to do. So I went out there by myself. I drove all the way out straight through, and I got to a hotel in Hollywood. And every day I would walk out, and the pimp would say, "Hey, I got a girl." And I'm like, "No, no, no." And then they go, "Well, you want some cocaine?" I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. I don't want any of that stuff." But every day. And then I found my way to a place where I was looking for a job. The only thing I knew how to do was staffing because I was doing that starting at 17. And when I went to a big company called Olston, I said, I'd like to be a recruiter. And they said, would have to wait for the VP to say to interview you. And I said, well, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm either going to get hired by you or I'm just going to go get another job right now. And they knew I had experience and they're like, no, 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 no. We're just going to put you on. And when Peter comes in, he's going to have something to say about it. Now, he's Italian. Margarita is his last name. Tough, tough, tough guy. And he came in with the CEO, and the CEO is a old school guy. And they walked up to my desk, and the CEO shook everybody's hand but mine because my hair was to my waist,
Really?
and he was just unhappy. And Peter, who was the vice president, said, Frank, don't say anything about this guy. Because I was not only recruiting, but I was winning all the deals. And he's like, you're not going to say anything about him. And I was there until uh, I had a seizure walking up to my Brentwood apartment. And the interesting thing about a seizure is you're the only one that doesn't know you had a seizure.
How old were you?
Everybody that saw me hit the ground, and then I was put into a van, and I'm not conflict averse at all. So these guys got me, and they're putting me strapped in, right? And I'm like, I know the law in California. I can get out of here, and you can't stop me. And they said, you have no idea what you're talking about. But if you want to get out and you decide to get out, we have to let you get out. And then my neighbor walked by and he said, listen, if you're not going to go with them to the hospital, I'll take you to it. And so instead of getting in an ambulance where I could get some help, I was in a Chevy Chevette, and he took me to the emergency. It was like 5 minutes away. And that's when I found out that I had what's called an AVM, an arterial, uh, and basically the AVM is a big arteries, and it's turned into a a knot. It's just a knot, and so the knot is pushing on my brain, and that's why I had the seizure.
Right. Well, I'll take a stab at it. It's not an easy thing to pronounce. Arteriovenous malformation, AVM.
Yes, yeah, that is it.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, how old were you
I
at that
never
point?
say that anymore because it's been a long time. I
Yeah, but
was
you
25 years old.
yeah, but you learned when you did the MDA. I was going to ask you what the heck this means. So, how old were you when you had that seizure?
25.
25. And I did have a question or two. So your mom, so you said she got successful. It was the recruiting, and you
Uh-huh.
learned a little bit about recruiting from her.
Yeah, I started working with them when I was 17.
Gotcha. And you said you were a street kid. Obviously, that your demeanor speaks the opposite. You come across as kind of a geeky, nerdy um, professor type. And I
Yeah,
guess,
that is true. Yeah,
yeah.
that is true.
Well, actually, that was what I wanted to look like when I taught physics and chemistry. And they said, "Are you a nerd, Mr. Roshan?" I said, "Well, I want to be because they rule the world." But the last question I have for you before we proceed: street kid obviously gives you street smarts.
Mm,
Would you see
very.
that? Would you say that's a super strong piece of what you got out of your childhood to be successful?
Yeah, I mean the conflict that I had, like I was walking to Stop and Go where we would go to play asteroids. Remember that? Yeah,
Yeah,
I could
the
kill
best.
everybody on that one. That was my favorite. And a guy named Steve Buckley, never met him. He's on the other side of the there's a chain before us, like
Hmm.
so, and he jumped over and he hit me. I never knew the guy. I mean, he doesn't have anything to do with this.
Right.
But I was practicing Taekwondo at that one time, and I was able to keep him away from me. But what I did was I took his fingers, and so he couldn't have a fist. And then one of his friends was teasing him because he couldn't do anything to me. And that guy ended up being a good friend of mine, and I had to get rid of him too because he was just a very tough guy, like just loves fighting, good at it. I don't really like to be in a fight, but occasionally it happened. So
Well,
that
so we're going to take a deeper dive in the intelligences required or that you think are required to have the optimal sales experience, which is the highest conversion that you can have, which creates the most abundance for both people if you're doing it the right way. I'm assuming that's what your thoughts are. I did want to just go back to ACDC for a second. Uh, I was an ACDC fan. I don't know if you know this, but I was at least 30 years older than you. So I've enjoyed ACDC before Back in Black. And, us ACDC fans that heard Highway to Hell and we heard that Bon Scott died, we thought, oh, crap, this
I
is,
was a dead ringer on that song.
gosh,
When I was a kid, I could
yeah,
do it, and it sounded like Bon. That's why people had me come up on stage with them because I could do all of those. I
that's
don't think I
crazy.
could do it anymore. I wish I could.
I've always been blown away that they could have had an album that put them on the top of the map, Highway to Hell, and then they lose their lead singer, and then they get back top of the map with a completely, not a completely different sound, just a new, unique, growing sound. And Brian Johnson was the perfect pick.
Still is.
Oh yeah, agreed, agreed. All right, so the story. Oh, and then defining moment. Uh, you've kind of shared in a vague way what your defining moment was because you went into sales and you became very proficient at that. But what was it in your childhood that you defined as wow, that was a day or that was a time that just made me realize who I want to be now?
I don't know if I could say it in that sort of frame that you put around it. I went in and I was going to be a recruiter, and then I there was nothing for me to do.
Mm,
So I started making phone calls because that's what I was taught to do in my family's business. If there's nothing to do, then start calling and see if you can get some deals.
right.
And it turned out that not only was I good at it, is that I liked it
Yeah.
because I like people and I like learning from other people. And I had one person at the limited, and I was trying to figure out. I had 300 people working for them, so I had a big client,
Yeah.
and I said, I understand what throughput is. I understood the idea, but I don't understand how you guys are using it. And there's a guy named Dallas Mulder. He said, "Do you want to see our Excel? You want to see it and show you how we do this?" And I said, "That's really helpful for me." And then when I went to the next place, I was like, "Tell me about your throughput." I just learned it 5 minutes ago, right? I have no depth in it at all, but everybody's teaching me and about their business. So I've been in all kinds of businesses all over, and I know things because people would teach me what I needed to know about their business. And that seemed to be really good for them. And it was good for me too.
Yeah.
So
You're acquiring how the engine works and how it can be, I
yeah.
guess, manipulated for better.
Yeah, and then if you learn something about distribution and you do it again and again and again, and all of a sudden you know a lot of things and you start to be more helpful for your clients. And that's what I was trying to do, and I still try to do that. I mean, that's what I do. I want to learn. I've got a whole bunch of prompts. Like if you give me a new industry, I'll be up to speed in it in about 15 minutes because of the prompts that I use and what I do and what I'm looking for, like non-obvious insights. So those are the kind of things that I'm interested in.
Well, you sent me a bunch of your books, and because you did, I want to respect the fact that I want each one to be seen, and I want an element of what the reader, buyer, entrepreneur will get from it, and then three maybe ninja pieces from the book. So we're going to go through these in a minute or two, but I wanted
Not
to,
in a minute or two. It's going to be a little longer than that, I
know, in a
think.
minute or two, we're going to start it.
Oh,
In
good.
a minute or two, and I should say a minute or two with the asterisk that you feel complete about your story. So what I wanted to do to complete your story is, when did you decide to become an author and a speaker from your recruiting days?
I noticed what I saw people doing as training. Uh, I didn't think it was right. I mean, I just it was what we would call legacy. It was why us, and I don't think that was the right conversation. And
Hmm.
so I decided that that's not the right way to do it. You don't start with me, it's them. And I've always been able to do that. And in fact, I've got a sister that's in my business that doesn't say anything on a meeting. Never. Like she's quiet and they like her and they do all the talking and she gets all the information and she wins at 85%. Pretty good, right?
Right.
So those are the sort of things.
Yeah. That's amazing. The listening skills, and I'll agree with that. The less time you're talking, the more you're gathering information that has them relate to the fact that they're being understood, and the more you're able to articulate what they said, which they go, you got it. So yeah,
And then, yeah, and when they're done talking and you say, this is what I understood what you said, and this, and then they look like, oh, good, they're paying attention.
right.
They're, yeah, we went one together, one with my sister, 12 people, all senior leaders. The deal was $7.5 million for 3 years. And she said nothing. I said very little. They talk to each other most of the time. And I'm thinking, there's 12 senior leaders. How much is it going to cost for this meeting for these people? For staffing, it's like not that hard. They said we've interviewed every single staffing firm in Columbus, and you're the only people we're going to work with because we're very compliant. I mean, like e-verify all the things, and a lot of people don't want to do it, and we do. So that's still true.
And that is actually the secret of success to me, is find out what no one else wants to do that actually makes the difference
And
of
then
what
do it.
do it
That's
right.
right. That's
If-
right.
okay, well, would you like to start with digging into the books a little bit?
Sure. Are we
So I think,
starting here?
yeah, we're starting here. And the reason I want to start here is I think this is such a controversial topic. We're going to get started with, I think, the thing that would stop people from listening is, when you tell me about AI, then I can start listening. So I think this is such a smart book that you did, especially with Jeb Blunt. He's such a dynamic speaker, and he understands exactly like what you do, which is how to succeed.
Mhm.
So um, tell me what tell the reader or my audience what they wouldn't expect, because unlike a lot of books I see where they do a lot of the explanation, you're really doing more of a social proof aspect of all these people saying this is spot on, get the book, don't ask questions, read it, use it. So tell what makes this book different than a lot of the other books that are attempting to share
Well,
AI.
let's start with this one by just saying um, Jeb Blunt always wants to be first to anything.
Yeah,
That's what he wants to do.
right,
I don't really care that much about that. I like to just have a good book, right? So, but that's what he wants to do. And so he'll do the next thing before somebody else can do it because that's what he does.
right.
And he asked me to join him with this because I was doing a lot with AI at that time. I mean, when it came out, I had it the first day and I started using it immediately, knowing that there's value there. And then we decided we were going to write this book together, and we sort of came to this thing that we wanted to keep this human, you know. So much of tech, and I said this earlier, uh, I'm just done with tech because I think the value uh, is not always what it should be. Number one, and number two, we have to keep our humanity. we have to keep our humanity. It's when you have, I'm sure you've seen this, you get an email and you can see that it says akin, delve onto, it used those words over. And so, it's not real.
Right.
It's somebody just did, they took AI and they did that. So I would tell you, I'm going to start putting a typo in everything that I write so people understand that I I'm writing it.
I dare you to do it. I dare you to do it on the cover.
On the cover. That'd be even better.
Because
That
then they
would be
know where
even
they
better.
came. So I have three three that I took more interest in talking about.
Go ahead.
The I'll just say them to you. You can pick whatever word you want to do. But the robot rules was one. The
Yeah.
the prospecting, and then closing the deal with AI. Those would be the three that I would like to
There's
talk
a
about.
lot of things that you can do. I don't have my prompts up with me, but we do have a couple prompts that we can use to say, how do we get this one closed? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
Cool.
a lot of it is making sure you have all of your notes and everything there so you can have that conversation. And what I always try to help people under is I always do things backwards. So it's backwards for me. At the beginning of the conversation, I'm going to say, my guess, if you're reaching out to me, then that means you need these results. And if I'm wrong, help me understand better. And that's just, I want them to know, like, I know your problems. I know how to solve these things. So I do it that way first. And then in prospecting, I think you have to be very careful with AI
Right.
because I think the more that people are going to use email, you know how much time it takes for people in a business for just email? It's about 30 hours.
Mm,
There's no reason to do that. We could do
no,
that in 5 minutes on if we're doing on a phone together, we could do it, or if we're in a conference room together, we could do it. But I think it's being burned up, and I think it's going to be worse in the future.
I agree.
I don't think there should be sequence anymore. People don't care about your email. They want to have a conversation, and I think that that's going to be truer in the future. And I think Jeb agrees with me. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about prospecting with regard to email or anything that you would recommend for specifically authors and speakers and podcasters. Let's go with those three.
I think you have to have something, again, do it the other way. Just say, this is the result that we tend to get when we are doing this with speakers
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. Yeah. So I would do it that way. And I think that that's the better way to do something. I think it's just better. I've been studying something called AEO, and you'll have to look that up later on. But uh, you start with tell them what's right and tell them at the beginning, and then don't have 400 words if you can just put it there and then do the other work afterward. That so this is how this is going to start changing. If you don't know this, it's not SEO, it's different than SEO, and it's a lot about your authority and your expertise and being able to tell them at the beginning of what's going to happen. So yeah, that's where I think we should be going right now, and I'm already doing that.
Yeah, this is an ad, so I won't pull it up, but it's saying that AI changes how people search. This company
That's right.
tracks the presence of ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Google's AI.
That's right.
Oh,
That's right.
very cool. Okay, so everyone wants more. They want more book sales. They want more stages. They want more views. And any advice you'd like to give with regard to that before we move on to the next book?
I think if you're going to do something like what I do, and that is a lot of content, a lot of training, a lot of book writing, a lot of just writing,
Mm-hmm.
blogs. I'm going to say that you have to be super disciplined, and a lot of people don't want to do the work. They want the result, but they don't want to do the result, the work. The work is like you have to go through all of your like the mistake thing that you sent me. I could write two books on that that were probably bigger than both of these. because I've seen so many things.
Right.
And so I think that that's it. And that's what we should be doing, is figuring things out in a different way. I think you're going to see this probably not for 18 months, but in 18 months, you'll probably see a lot of people doing this approach to tell them at the beginning and give them the answer right away. And then they can go through the rest.
It's kind of a micro learning and Army discipline.
Yeah.
Army says, here's what you're gonna learn. Here's and I'm teaching you, and this is what you just learned is
Yep.
shorter bites. And
Yes.
I agree with it. And actually that's why I wanted to start with this, is because this is where things are going to change so much out of all your books. And you have to know this to take care advantage of the other content, I think. So
Yeah.
let's go to leading growth, the proven formula for consistently increasing revenue. So I see companies, because of the first book that you wrote, challenged because if they're not embracing AI or they're not understanding the optimal use of it, they're falling backwards, not forwards, in their optimism and their abundance.
Yeah, I think that they should be doing what I have in most of my prompts. Uh, I want really good editing. I want to make sure that everything, the text is really clean. And so I have a bunch of prompts to do that, because I think that that's what it's best at. It is really good. I've had, so on this book, Negativity Fast,
Mm-hmm.
it's got maybe 3 typos in the first couple pages because my Wiley didn't pick it up. And they sent it to me really fast.
Right.
They didn't need to do that. So I thought AI would have cleaned that up like no problem. Like there would have been no typos. And everybody should be doing that. If you're writing anything, you should use a prompt that you've built. Or if you want to do it the way I did it, I said, hey, I need an edit prompt for my text, and I want you to build it. And I let it do it, and it's super clean. So we're going to adhere to leading growth, the green book.
Well, yes. And Mike Jeffrey wrote the foreword to
Yeah.
your book.
Mhm.
Tell me who he is. I
Oh,
can
he's a
see.
friend of ours. He's a good guy too. I asked him to do this because I wanted him to do it, because we were working together. And if you haven't read the prologue on this, this is probably one of the best stories I have. That's not me. If you missed that one, you should read that one. That's really good.
And it's a quickie, so I'll do that today.
Yeah.
So before we dance to the next book, anything else you want to say about this book? Why would a reader want to get this going into 2026? How do they apply some of the knowledge?
So I've been in sales since I was 15 years old, and now I'm 19, or maybe a little older than that. I don't know, somewhere right in there. Uh, I wrote all these books about sales, and I realized I never gave anybody who's in sales leadership. I didn't give them anything. So this I did. I wrote this because I took everything that I knew that was helping me going from, let's say, when I started in that business, it was $3 million, and
Mhm.
I got it to $45 million. So this is what I did to do that. And there's 15 different chapters. And I think they're in the right um, sequence. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and I like the part three, the accountability, people, and effectiveness. I think
yeah,
that cannot be stated enough, that you can't
true.
have the other four with those three. Actually, each one of them are important, but that one is a very big one for me. So the negativity fast, does it still have 3 typos?
Yes,
Okay. So
it's never been redone.
yeah, I guess when you're a smaller outfit, you're not the big whale like Wiley is. You have the ability to say, well, we can do our next run with those fixed up, and no one knows the better.
They said they would, but they didn't.
Okay.
So
Okay. Well,
that's why I'm going to go
um,
back to a penguin if I can.
so this is the book. Same questions. How do we apply the knowledge in here to a better 2026? And I see Seth Godin, and you are friends with him, which is quite a a relationship to have with Seth. I mean, that's he's top dog in the well, a lot of people consider him top dog in the arena that you're in.
I love what Seth put on here, which is that it's a positivity buffet. So yeah, so I don't know. This book was for me because I think it's very important not to have uh, a negative look on life. I think it's very bad for people, and I think it hurts them. So I did this for me because I always want to keep positive, and then I think other people would do better if they were positive.
So your I mean, your book starts off with why are you negative? And
Yeah.
I mean, it's what you focus on, but it is, I mean, that's what my Keep Smiling movement's all about, is shifting you into the mindset of gratitude, positivity, which it's not ironic. It's just that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to now be a magnet to attract abundance and creativity and all kinds of other aspects,
All the good things.
all the good things. So, any ninjas from this book you'd like to share?
I'm going to go to probably just one of my favorite parts. I just have to go back and find it.
Well, and while you're finding it, taking yourself into the negative state, that's the biggest statement I could make about that is it's a choice.
If it's on page 180, why I buy all the dogs, why I give to the homeless. This is about forgetting about your problems and your concerns. And if you start focusing on somebody else, you can't focus on you. And this is what I hope people will take from that. I'm going to be selling probably maybe 50 or maybe 60 of these on the November 5th because I'm going to open for my brother who is a comedian.
Really?
And yeah, I open for him,
What's his name?
Jake. I'm just going to say like, if you go watch his stuff, I'm not responsible for whatever happens there.
Right.
I'm a clean comic. He is the opposite.
Well, we have a little plug. We have the Authathon 3, and you've been part of the Baldathon and also the Bald Boldathon. And I was very appreciative of what you shared and just how much you care about leadership and
Yeah.
how responsible you are about influence. But the Authathon 3 is colon the gift, and our statement is the best gift you can get for Christmas is a book that will improve you who you are or empower you to be a better version of yourself. So
The
that
problem
is
for me is that I want all the books.
do
Yeah, I've got maybe 3,000 in my house.
you? Well,
Yeah.
we're speculating it's going to be over 100 authors that will be sharing and they can pick only one book to it's a commercial, it's a 4-minute commercial, but they share it and they basically dump the price on that. It's the week before Black Friday. That's the idea. And
I
so
did one. I did one already. Yeah,
yes,
I did a
yes, you
review.
did. Yes,
Yeah.
you did. And so when it's a series, they just get a different commercial and they just say, and it's a series of a lot of books. But I'm really glad you played in all these other aspects of what really we want to do. We want to give authors, leaders, and speakers the power of distribution. And without distribution, there is a questionable amount of impact. So how you doing? You doing good?
Good. I'm all good.
All right. So this is the book I've been really excited to get to, and I had to put those other ones before because I wanted to get to this one in the middle. This book is amazing.
Number one.
Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. This was the first one you wrote or in sales?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
I,
tell
I
me.
had that structure for a long time.
Yeah.
Like I had it written down and I had an editor that was working with me. And this is a really good story because I said, what do you think? And he said, why on earth would you ever put self-discipline in a book? People hate self-discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you've never been in sales, have you? He goes, no. And then he said, why on earth would you put caring in a book like this book? It's a sales book.
Right.
And I'm like, because if you don't care about your clients, it's not going to work very good for you. And
Right.
so we had this, and I said, I got to tell you, this isn't going to work for me. I know what's true and I know what's right, and I'm not going to change anything here. Like the self-discipline, if you don't have that in sales, when you've got all this autonomy that you can use all the time,
Hmm.
if you don't have the discipline, you're going to wipe out. Like there's no doubt about it. I've
Agreed.
watched people do it. You just have to be very good and disciplined, and that's important. And if your client doesn't believe that you care about them, you're not going to have a client. It just doesn't work that way. We're humans.
Anthony, what I love about what you bring to the table, whether even if you weren't an author, what you bring to the table as a person, as a communicator, is you've paid your dues. If you're a paper boy or you've done phone sales, you could not get better training in the world for understanding what it is that the other human needs to hear, feel, and
Yep.
think before they would even consider trusting you
Yep.
and giving you a part of their abundance. And that is the exchange. And
That's right.
so I want to say that was number one that I just love. And then the second thing is that you listen. Listening is so underrated in the sales conversation because people hear the word conversation and it's them communicating to you what their problems, needs are. And the third one was how you define sales. And I have not even asked you how you define sales. I'm going to take a stab at it and you correct or improve as you wish.
It's helping somebody get a result that
Right.
they couldn't get without my help.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
what I think it is. Yeah, my job is to make sure they get the results that they need.
And too many people that are not as successful in sales are looking at it either as a transaction, a close, and those are dangerous words to use because there's no relationship in those two words.
Right.
So you had me at care.
Yeah.
So there was a couple parts in this book that I wanted to address. So the first part I wanted to address is in an AI working world, which we've already identified, AI cannot match the human tone or the human care in the voice and the slang and the coolness that you're supposed to have when you're connecting with people. We know that part, but what are three mistakes, whether it's AI or not, that people make in not closing the sale?
Oh, I think the first thing that you said, I'm starting with right there. If you're transactional, people feel that. They feel like you're just going through the motions.
Yep.
And if you don't have any like skin in the game, you don't feel like that, it's easy for them to go, I'm going to find somebody else. So that's the first thing. The second thing is still, even though I'm trying my very, very best to stop this, a lot of people still use the legacy approach, which is, let me tell you why us. And that is the worst possible first thing to do. It's the worst thing that you could possibly do because you're pitching before you even know anything.
Right.
And that was for a long time, and it worked for a long time until it didn't work anymore. It doesn't work that way anymore.
What would your recommendation be in not
Uh,
doing legacy but
a
going
high
to?
insight uh, sales approach. And I have my own version of this. Other people think that they're doing insights, but most of their insights are obvious. So what my approach is, I'm looking for the non-obvious insights that are going to have the client think we didn't even see that, we didn't know that was happening, and then they're learning, and I'm teaching, and they know that I know more than they do about the decision that they have to make. And the way I would talk about this is when the client is doing this, they're trying to have a rare decision that they have to get right on the first attempt. So
Mhm.
that's what we have to do. So now in sales, what we have to do is help them how how to go about this decision. And that means you should look at these factors if this is important. You should look at these factors if this is more important. And that's what you have to do now. Not a lot of people know how to do this, but that's what you're supposed to be doing. You do this every day. So I sell the same thing every day. They buy every 7 years. They have no idea what happened in that period. And so you have to get them back on where they need to be to understand how to make that decision. That's what we're really doing now. It's a very, very different approach than most other things in the past.
And just to finish up in your part two, you have skill sets, the abilities of sales success. What's a skill set that you could work on and really see a difference in how you connect and close?
In a close,
Yeah, more in the close
yeah, so let me go to this book. I'm going to just pull out the Lost Art of Closing, which I imagine.
is the next
Um,
one. Yes.
if you do not have these conversations, I think that you can get in trouble. You have to ask for what I call trading value, which means I'm going to give you something at the first meeting. I'm not asking you questions. I'm not doing discovery. I'm going to trade value and explain to you something important. And then if you don't do the commitment for time, you won't get it. People don't know how to do this. I will just tell one story about this. Uh, I have a friend, and he read this book. He studied it. He went through all my courses. And at the end of the year, he said, I made $300,000 more in commission after I did that.
Hmm.
And I said, that's amazing. And I said, that's outstanding. And I said, what'd you do with that money? And he said, I bought my wife a beach house. And I said, that's really interesting because you only gave me a coffee cake for $300,000, right?
Right. Right.
I got a coffee cake. You got it. He goes, no, but if you want the keys, we'll let you use it.
That's
I
funny.
didn't need it. I was just teasing him.
So the jump from here to here is obviously the focus on the tail end of where you're
Yeah.
going to the
I
bank.
knew I was going to write that book when I was writing that book. I knew that had to be put in there because I want people to understand that there are different conversations that you have to have with your clients. And if you don't have those conversations and you don't understand those conversations, very hard for you to win.
I believe that if you care about your craft, whether it's marketing, sales, leadership, etc., you don't go and buy one book, even though this is the only book you need. And the reason I say that is because technically you've written many books on sales and they all enhance the process. And so that leads me to the question. When I studied marketing, I got probably 20 marketing books. When I studied leadership, I got roughly about 20 leadership books. And you've helped enhance my sales library, which I'm very thankful for. But I include Zig Ziglar as one of my faves to read and to apply. Do you have any other sales friends or leaders that fed you that helped you get these books to be better?
Neil Rackham was very good, very helpful, and especially for me as a writer, um, because I read his stuff. I read everything he many, many times, and I think that I picked up where he left off, and
Mm.
I think that's what I was trying to do is pick up where he stopped, and I took over. And I do think that I had something of a structure of this. I knew I was doing this one first because without the only sales guide, I think you would not have the character and the discipline and all the other stuff that is in that book. And I think without that, that wouldn't work. And I think if you don't have a way to have a conversation that helps the client with the decision making, then I think you have a problem. Yep. So that's it. So I put these in this order, and then I put eat their lunch after that because that's what I know best. That is, I know that better than anything else. Displacing my competitors in temporary staffing, everybody that you would call on already has somebody doing staffing for them.
Right.
So now I have to get them out. So I have to come in with a high insight and something new that they don't know so that I can get them out and then I can take their clients away from them. That's what I did from 17 until, gosh, I don't know.
Well, before I
Long time.
received this book, the person I would have, I guess, kind of gone to with regards to this theme is Harvey Mackay.
Oh yeah, I love Harvey.
Yeah, Swim with the Sharks was really a an optimal book of how you look at your competition, how you see that they're missing some spots you could easily do and remove and eat their
My
lunch.
favorite thing that he ever wrote was he said that he was young and he had a grizzled old guy that was in sales. And he said, "Hey, when do you give up on a client?" And he said, "They die or you die." And then I added, "And if you're not sure, go open the coffin and see if the body's in there. And if it's still in there, might still be breathing." And yeah, so I thought that was just a great thing that he said. I kept it forever.
Well, I certainly loved his approach to getting to know somebody. My goodness, that guy had,
Oh yeah, with the 60, that's a
yeah,
lot of stuff.
that's a lot. And
Yeah.
I don't use all 60, but I probably use about 10, which is more than the average bear who keeps track of, kids and stuff like that. Um, I wanted to, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a very important person who nominated you and reconnected us, and that's Jeffrey Gitomer. Jeffrey Gitomer
Yep.
says, "Oh, you have to call Anthony. He would be fantastic." And it says so much about Jeffrey, but it also says a lot about any speaker that says, "Oh, yeah, we're good friends," or "I have so much admiration for them." So,
Yeah, I when I go to Charlotte, I just stay with him.
yeah,
My wife and I were going to Hilton Head,
yeah,
and I said, I'm going to call Gittimer and we're going to stay with him. She wasn't sure. And then she loved him. Yeah, so
right.
he's a good guy. We
You
had a
know,
great time.
I
And then
bought.
I bought him a book when I was in Savannah,
Mhm.
and I got a bunch of his books, and I sent him a book that I thought was going to be really good for him. So that was it. Just because what he's got. If you've ever been in his house, have you been there?
He's invited me, and his library is to die for.
Yeah, it's giant. Yeah, better than mine.
I think better
I
than almost
told him when he's
anybody's.
gone, I want all his books.
You'll check the coffin just to make sure that they
Yes.
were given.
No, even if it's not, I'll still take them.
That's yeah.
He's
He's
got a lot of good stuff there. Unbelievable.
yeah. I'm excited to see it one day and hopefully soon. But he has at least invited me, which is the first sign that I guess it'll happen.
It could,
So we have you have another book, right? Besides this one, there's one more. Is this the complete set? This is a complete set, right?
yeah. Elite sales.
Yep. So
Done these.
yep, we've done those, and
Elite is a very, this is a very different book from the other ones that I've um, written. I just think it's a different book. And a lot of people, when they read this, they thought that this was a very good structure. So the
yes.
structure in this one seemed to be helpful for people. I thought it would be.
So I would like to, I guess, hit. I think it was two chapters in this book. I wanted to hit a little more than the other ones. And your role is the sense maker,
Yes.
and then chapter 12, almost the last chapter, and of course the secret chapter, the 13, but 12, advice for those who are presently one down.
Yes. Oh, I had to do that because most of them are one down
Right,
and I need them to be one up.
right.
So I try to teach them to do this, but a lot of it is I'm going to start trying it a different way because I want them to do more. They don't really think about all their experiences. So the reason that I can write all these things is because I have so much experience. Uh, I was 17 when I started. I'm 58 years old. So I've had all these experiences and I've always written down the stories. So I have the stories that to remind me where I learned that. So these are the kind of things I noticed. People they don't do the work. I'm going to say they don't do the work that they should to understand all their experiences. And if you don't take your experiences and then write them down and understand what it means and what you should be doing with it, then I think you're not going to do what you could be doing.
Well, I am so excited about how many sales books you've done. I wanted to, I guess, show you a sales book that I predict you're going to do next. Is that
Yeah,
is that pretty daring to do right now?
go ahead, try it.
All right. So you've never really used a dollar sign for the S, but a lot of people do, and that might be too corny for you. But I'm going to just show you the potential title of your next one. All right, here it is, sir. It's put the AI in sales. And you notice the A is the asteroids game.
Yeah,
Because when you look at asteroids, it is about domination. It's about taking everything out. And so I think it's kind of funny how you are an asteroid champion and that you are also a sales
I'm going
champion.
to tell you, at Asteroids, at Stop and Go, I would have 150
Yeah,
still on there, and people would put quarters up, and they would just sit and wait and wait and wait and wait because I would do that. And then
yeah,
I decided, hey, you give me $5, I'll give you this. And then they
yeah.
give me the $5 because they were going to be wait forever.
That was a very addicting game, and it was
Yeah, I
so
loved
it
it.
was so cool how you could how simple but how complex it was at the same time. You just had
Yeah,
to really know what you were doing with that speed.
yeah,
Well, I am so excited that we got to talk about so many of your books, and also that I just don't get a chance to meet someone so prolific that goes so deep in topics I really care about. And the way you hit this topic is making the world better, because if you don't learn sales about relationship and you don't learn it's about solving problems, you're really in the game of working too hard and not getting
that's
what
right. Yeah.
happiness. So I'm really
It's
excited
a
about it.
contact and contract. And
Yes,
the R is for relationship. That's what it is.
I love that. That is awesome. So the final portion of our show is the rapid fire. And
Okay.
I ask you questions so people can say, well, I want to be like Anthony. And they do those things and they get a little bit more like you. All right.
Go ahead.
So here we go. A book that changed your life.
Will, the biography of Gordon Liddy, who was the water guy, Waterman, right? Remember
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Watergate. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course.
Watergate. Yep. Uh,
And
his book at the beginning, he was afraid of everything. My dad gave me that book when I was 12 years old. I was afraid of everybody. I read that book. The first two chapters are him going directly to his fear and dealing with it. And that's what he did. And then after I read that, I thought, I'm going to do that. And then I wasn't afraid of conflict anymore. And I started to be a different person after that. So at 13, I changed very, very much. Like I was,
it's from reading that book.
that book, yeah, it
That is
changed me.
that's a big star. There's so many kids that are afraid of things that they don't need to be afraid of. That is amazing. Yeah, that's I'm putting that down as a must read too. You're getting my library enhanced quite a bit here.
Yeah, well, that's a great book.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's one
And,
of my all-time favorites.
well, in the last time when I was recording you for some of those thons, the Baldathon, et cetera, I just want to thank you for your sincerity and willingness to help somebody else. You said, "Hey, Ken, if you ever need anything, just give me a call." And I just want to say that
Yeah, right.
I got how
Yeah.
much you care about relationships. So thank you. Um,
Relationships are the whole thing. It's the whole thing. I don't understand. If you don't think that's what it is, you're wrong. Like it's about relationships and
yes,
working together and finding ways to do things.
and being unconditional and bringing value to the other person.
Yeah. What else is there to do?
Exactly. Well, there's four more things to do. There's four more questions.
Okay, go ahead. All
what,
right.
what movie inspires you?
Well, this one's going to be funny for you, but because I was a musician at one time. I was a singer anyway. The Blues Brothers.
Oh gosh,
Oh, that spoke to me so much. Those songs,
yeah,
all those people there. That's exactly what I wanted. And I love that. I'm going to tell you, my fingers were so small that I went to the theater and I could open the back door with my fingers. I could put it and walk in. And I brought my brother with me one time, and we opened the door, and the sun was on that side. And so the sun came in, and somebody went and got the manager, and they came in and took us into the office. And he said, "Hey, do you live in Granville Village?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And he goes, "You don't have to sneak in here." He goes, "You can come in here anytime you want. Here, let me give you this popcorn. Give us this king." And I went 40 times to see the Blues Brothers over and over and over again. I loved it so much.
Oh, that was a timeless piece. That is probably I identify with you. That's probably one of the biggest dreams to have all those people in one movie
So
and
good.
bring back history and soul, and
Oh yeah, I
that was the
loved it.
best. I identify with that movie probably more than any other movie because when I was handed a Keep Smiling card, I actually say it reminds me of when Jake sees the light go through the church and says, "I see the light."
I love that.
All right. So I know ACDC is right there. Okay. So this is a predictable answer. So go one step beyond ACDC. What song gets you going? Or what
Mhm.
artist do you love besides ACDC?
I really love the Stones. I loved them. I had a one day I got a phone call from Amex,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, "Hey, we want to thank you for uh, having this card, and um, we want to give you something." I said, "Well, what's that?" And they said, "We've got 2 tickets to the Rolling Stones. Could you use those?" And I said, "Yes, I could do that." And then I told my daughter I would take her, and then my wife said what I thought should I would be going, right? And that was it. So I said, "Hey, is there a way I could get 2 more?" And they said, "Yeah, not a problem." I
Jeez.
said, "I don't want to be crude here, but where I'm going to be sitting?" And they said, "In the second row." I said, "That was amazing."
That is
Uh,
amazing.
it was great. I love the Stones. I just think that they are rock and roll.
They are. They are. When you said it though, you reminded me a little bit of Stephen Wright when he told his joke. You ever hear that one?
Which one?
He says, "Yeah, I love the Stones. Barney and Dino, Fred and Barney. That's what he says.
Yeah.
He goes, Fred and Barney." So nice setup there, right? All right. Who is your hero?
My mom.
Your mom. And who's someone you'd like to meet you haven't met?
Hmm. Who that I would like to meet? I have
I
to
know
think about
you've met so many cool people already.
that. I met a lot of people.
Yeah, I know you have.
Let me think. Who would I want to meet right now? Musk.
He's a common answer this year. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, it has to be. He is I mean, like he's an Edison, right?
Right.
Yeah, like it's just a guy that is in a different world than the rest of us. And we need him, I think.
I agree. I agree. I mean, I'd be a hypocrite if I said we didn't, and I'm using his technologies every day.
You do? Yeah.
Yeah, I have PayPal and I have a Tesla, so that would be pretty hypocritical to say, yeah, he doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah. He's a special guy.
Yeah, very special. And my fifth and final question. Okay, my final rapid fire question is: what quote do you live by?
What book?
What quote? Quote.
Quote. Hmm. What quote?
I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say, "Go bald or go home."
Hang on, I will give you something in just a second. I have to just get to my. Hang on, I'll find you one real quick because I have a whole bunch of things in my Zettelkasten.
Mm-hmm. And while you're looking, Seth Godin you are friends with him, and he's got some pretty cool stuff. How much of an influence has he been? I know that he's been an influence with regard to your your layout of your studio.
Yeah. Let me just go to this one because I do like it. You might not know who it is. David Hackworth, in a book called Steal My Soldier's Heart, one of my all-time favorites. If you haven't read that book, it's just a wonderful story of a guy who was going to be killed by his own team
Mm-hmm.
because of his, and then everybody lived because of what he did. And I love this. And the title of this is Absolute Discipline.
Absolute discipline.
Yeah.
And that is powerful because absolute is all encompassing and pure.
Yep.
So you're looking at another monitor, just so you know. I just want to say thank you so much, Anthony, for not just some amazing content, friendship, great show, but my future being better, my my friends and my family benefiting from the gifts you give today in the show and also your books. I take it very seriously. What you've downloaded from your heart and your mind could change anyone's life. So, for those of you who have not taken a dive or know Anthony, I strongly encourage you to buy any of these books because they're actually all going to be beneficial. But I think he would say start with this one.
I would say start with that one.
And I think because Jeb and the topic of AI, I would get both of them together and see where you go from there. I wanted to ask the reason I said there was one more
We're going to
question.
redo that book, I think, at the
Really?
end of the year. I think we're going to
And you
update
said
it.
there's an event that you do with Jeb that happens
Yeah.
in
Called
2026
Outbound. Yeah.
outbound. So be on the lookout for any information about that. I am ever hopeful, crossing my fingers.
Vegas this year.
Vegas? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping American Express says, listen, you got the Stones or outbound. So my final question for you, Anthony, sir, is how do people connect with you, celebrate you, follow you?
I do a blog almost every day. I'm trying to get back to doing it every day, but I just found out about the AEO thing, which means that I have to do it a different way now. So I'm going to have to start over again. I have 5,600 blogs at thesalesblog.com,
Okay.
or LinkedIn is great too.
All right. I'm going to actually I was going to pull it up for people, but I'll just at least take them to where they can search you up for a second and take you from there. So there is this, and if you put the sales blog in, you will get that as well. There it is, the sales blog.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, I am super excited that you were on the show, and I think the Dr. Smiley Show is enhanced smiles because if you make more sales, Anthony, you make more smiles happen if you've done it the right way. What are
I'm
those?
looking at something for just a second. I'm seeing if I can find it.
Well, while you're looking for it, I see there's a blue stack. Is that blue stack of books and a green stack of books?
Yeah, those are elite, lead growth.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. I was wondering if that was a stack of your books. I thought it might be.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, you can certainly send the photo of the thing that you're looking for, and we will add it to the content if you wish.
Yeah, I have a couple other books that I think you would like. That, and I think that would be, I think it would, yeah, I think you'd really like it. I'm going to send them for you. Yep.
Thank you. Well, Anthony, I look forward to seeing you next year, if not before the end of this
Yep.
year. And we're heading up to New York for the Times Square Jumbotron on the 23rd of Sunday, 23rd of November, and then
Nice.
Library of Congress. But I'm overdue for a Columbus, Ohio trip. So
If
hope
you
to
are,
see you
let me
soon.
know.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. Keep smiling. Have a great day. Follow this man. He is a wealth of information, knowledge, but most importantly, where the heart is, the money will follow. Take care.
All right.